Thank you, Mac, and thank you to the board of the Grand Forks Region Economic Development Corporation for this prestigious award. It's greatly appreciated. Keith said I could talk as long as I wanted this afternoon, as long as it was 5 to 7 minutes. And so I'd like to, in this brief moment that I have, just share one story with you, provide a little bit of reflection for you, and then wrap up my comments. The story of me joining the board of directors was different than the one Mac had, and I guess had I known I was so good at strong arming, I maybe should have used that skill more effectively over the years. But my story actually starts in the Minneapolis airport. I had one of those extremely long layovers in kind of an obscure wing of the airport, and Klaus had the same layover. And so I wasn't a part of economic development, but as Mac alluded to, I've always had strong thoughts. And so Klaus and I started communicating at that meeting, and we talked, in that layover, and we talked nonstop for a whole hour about economic development in Grand Forks, some of his ideas and some of my ideas, and where that might take us in the future. And it wasn't too long after that where Klaus actually invited me to serve on the board of directors. And so that was the first part of the story, and I graciously accepted. But as the story goes, after I had my first few meetings and asked a few questions, as Mac alluded to, Klaus told his staff and the other leadership of that he thought he had made a pretty significant mistake. And so I ended up, serving on the board as just a board member, and then I was the vice chair for 2 years. I ended up serving 2 terms as the chair due to some adjustments that one of the chair people made, and then they actually created another position for me to be the past chair. So I spent all of those years on the board. And I think over time, Klaus and I found a way to work amicably together. Judith put up with all my craziness in terms of reviewing minutes and things, but I think we got a lot of neat things done. And I've had a lot of chances to be a volunteer in Grand Forks in the region and in North Dakota. And I'll have to say this was the most rewarding volunteer effort I ever had. Told myself I wouldn't do that. If you look at economic development, I think it really comes down to 3 main areas: vision, collaboration, and hard work. And although Klaus certainly had vision and Klaus certainly had hard work, if you want to talk about or reflect upon working together in Grand Forks, I think Klaus's legacy and the basis to this award is certainly collaboration. Grand Forks is too small, North Dakota is too small for us not to share a vision and to work together, and Klaus got that. And he quietly and he non-assumingly put together a staff that always collaborated. He put together a process where the staff and board would work seamlessly together. He always had outreach, and he'd always keep it to 15 minutes. I never understood why he was so anal about the time, but he'd schedule these 15-minute meetings with you, and he'd go on outreach with all of the different membership. When it came to a prospective business, he paved the way for that prospective business in a way where they're excited to be a part of Grand Forks. He fostered a great relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, and I would maintain that that's oftentimes the exception, not the rule when you go to other communities across the state and the region. And we have one where we do as many things together as we do apart, and if we do them apart, it's because they're unique to each organization's particular aspect. The EDC and then the Chamber work seamlessly with the city. And I think that was mentioned earlier, be it the staff, be it the City Council. Our city and county have found ways to work together, which I think is important to a collaboration when you're in a small region like Grand Forks. The city does a good job of reaching across to East Grand Forks, North Dakota. In fact, when the city is willing to take East Grand Forks' sewage, that's about as complimentary as you can ever get in terms of working together. One of our most important employers in the region is the University of North Dakota. I remember times where there was more fights between UND than there was collaboration. That no longer is the case. Those 2 entities are working seamlessly together in terms of moving Grand Forks, the region, and the state together. We have a pivotal employer and a protector of our wonderful country in the Grand Forks Air Force Base. This community has won numerous awards in terms of supporting that wonderful asset that we have. We reach out to the state. I think when I walked into City Hall today, we got recognized as a 2018 Main Street Award recipient from the governor based on our collaboration with the state of North Dakota. We extend that out to the Bank of North Dakota and the Commerce Department and other places. We work with our congressional delegation. I don't know if Joe made it up here or not, but we work very closely with the Fargo-Moorhead EDC. That too is something that's hasn't been common in the past. We found a way to do that. And as Mac mentioned, the last chapter of my life in economic development has been with the Valley Prosperity Partnership, a group that was actually fostered at our 2012 meeting of this organization and has led to a joint economic development vision between the southern half of the valley and the northern half of the valley, pushing for such priorities as workforce, water, university research, and the like. And so, Klaus, I think you've done an outstanding job of laying that legacy. I'm glad that I got a chance to work you within that, and I will reassure you that your legacy continues after you've retired. In closing, I'd like to provide some additional thanks. I do see that that Judith Stevens is here. I don't know if you guys know what the Oxford comma is, but if you say like Steve, Tammy, and Tyler, there's the debate on whether you put the comma before the and or not. I'm a big fan of that. She wasn't originally, but she became very fond of it once we got through working there with our minutes. I have quite a few families and friends in the audience. I appreciate that. I have some coworkers and clients in the audience. I greatly appreciate that. I appreciate all of the business community of Grand Forks for coming out today and in helping EDC in our collaborative efforts. And I once again would like to thank the Grand Forks EDC Board of Directors for this wonderful award. Economic development volunteerism in Grand Forks, as I indicated, is very rewarding. I'm super pleased to be given an award for just the opportunity of doing that. And I would strongly encourage all of the rest of you here, including the younger generation, to step up and get active. You're going to find some very rewarding activities from that. Thank you very much.